Like closer.
All right.
This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're missing Will. We'll do the fun Xbox broadcast a different week. Hope you all enjoy us discussing and probably myself trashing on what VR is right now. Do you own a VR headset at all?
No, I have not bought it yet.
I did own a VR headset in the 90s.
So, yeah, VR's just not there yet, man.
Do you want to podcast over? No, I'm just kidding.
It's just not there yet. That's the moral of the story.
I want to show you guys the headset I had. I've showed it before, but I'll show it again for fun. Whoops, that is not what I didn't mean to click shopping. I meant to click images. My goodness,
It's
Google.
not up yet. You're not making it the main thing, anyways.
I know. No, I'm just mad because it didn't show it. I had one of these. The R Zone.
Oh gosh.
It was a headset that was a knockoff Virtual Boy, essentially, with a little reticle in front of your eye, and it had the worst graphics you've ever seen.
Everything.
Those were the
worst graphics you have ever seen.
That's what the carts look like. They were literally see-through, and they display the images through the carts through a mirror. You can kind of see the technology at work with that one. These are some other handheld versions of it. But anyways, VR has been around a long time. We just, we haven't embraced it.
Right.
But I do kind of want to start back at the beginning. 2D games. We had 2D games in the original Nintendo era, right? NES, Atari, Super Nintendo. Tiger makes the best game. I will fight you, Nerd Talk. No, I'm just kidding. For example, like almost every console across the board, except for arcades, were running 2D at home.
Right.
But we knew because of the arcades at the time, because that was really where you saw the improvements coming, was at the arcades, that 3D was coming at some point. So what was your first experience with 3D gaming, Andrew?
3D gaming. Honestly, that's a great question. I honestly can't tell you I can't remember what my first experience with it was.
Well, what was your first console that had 3D available? Do you have a 64 or PS1? What did you have?
No, PS1. It'd have to be the PS1, and GameCube would be the two consoles that I probably played the most at, or the beginning of that. And maybe
so you're telling me you didn't play N64?
No.
Oh,
I
you
never
skipped
had
that
one. I never.
Yeah,
no,
no
I never had
nostalgia.
one.
Wow.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, no nostalgia for the N64.
No.
That's a rarity on this podcast.
Yeah. You gotta remember, man, I was kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, so it's funny, I always assumed back in the day that the Donkey Kong Country games were some kind of a 3D, right? Because they had that fake 3D with the CGI'd sprites that were pre-rendered, which was always, I thought that was one of the coolest effects they ever did on a Super Nintendo, is the pre-rendered sprites for like Donkey Kong Country. But then, of course, then you got Donkey Kong 64 on the N64, and it's like, okay, that's real. That's what real 3D is, right?
Right.
But, my first real 3D experience was probably also the PS1. It was either the N64 or the PS1, because I played like Crash Bandicoot Trilogy, those kinds of games, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to say PS1 more than the Nintendo. That was when I would have to say I definitely had my first 3D gaming experience.
My first experience with 3D gaming was when my mom threw my NES at me. Really effective use of the Z-axis.
Shit.
But I think going into 2D, we all knew that the evolution coming was going to be 3D. Like that, I don't think anybody ever questioned that 3D was going to be a gaming thing.
Right. Like, it's just the natural evolution of it, right?
Right. And I would argue that going from 3D to HD and all the higher resolutions, you haven't changed the plane. You haven't changed the way people play their games significantly.
You haven't. Right. It's never been about changing the perception. It's changing the interaction level. That's the only thing that's changed.
Right. And when I picture like VR, in my mind, I'm picturing like those 4D theaters like Disney used to have, where you get like the water spraying and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the reason why VR is not there yet, because okay, for example, with 3D gaming and HD and all of that, you're going into able to create fully interactable worlds with destructible environments. Just think what Battlefield did to first-person shooters, right? Like you've now expanded all of that. But if you were to go into VR, what does VR add to Battlefield, for example, without the like ability to feel like you're actually immersed? Because all you're doing is changing your camera angle. You're not changing the experience, not truly.
Can you hear the fan in the background or no?
No.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure, because it's pretty loud for me. I just want to make sure everybody can't hear it. All right.
But if you have that treadmill thing, maybe theoretically.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, those are pretty cool.
But
have you seen the great mall thing where the person's like turning? Oh my gosh! It's like...
So here's the one thing I will say for VR. The one gaming experience that it is probably most geared towards right now would be driving games.
I think this is the one. No, this isn't it. So there's a video of a woman in a VR thing where she's like turning, and like the thing keeps turning, and all of a sudden the weight is obviously not mounted to the ground, and it falls over.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Dude. I think VR is almost the reason why I think it can't be mainstream is it's almost a per application use, whereas 3D can be used the same way across the board and everything.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like the one scenario, right, that it's most beneficial to have it, and I say that in the sense that it's most effective at in its current form would be driving games, like or flight simulators, stuff like that. But even then, you're not really getting the full immersion concept, right? Because you're not like in the cockpit or in the car getting that full rumble experience. So without like all the peripherals, I feel like VR is just like you can't just add it to a game. You have to add it to like a simulator. And that's where VR really is meant for.
I almost feel like these augmented reality rooms would be better than VR because, like, for example, the escape room, that's a super cool idea for like a real life game based on a video game.
See, I feel like when it comes to just future society interaction, the focus right now is on VR. But AR is how most of it's going to play out, the way like dystopian future novels describe it, or like the show, right? Because you'll have the glasses that see something overlaid on things. It's not going to be a virtual reality Ready Player One world. It's going to be the AR experience.
It'll be like your Google Glass, your HoloLens, those types of things, where it's like over your reality, you have a holographic a heads-up display essentially.
Yeah, it's basically going to be an AR version of all of the billboards and moving signs. That's really
imagine playing like paintball in augmented reality, where you don't have to actually get hit by real paintballs, and it'll still know you got hit and you're out of the game.
Right.
But say hello to a whole new level of cheating in gaming.
You know what? The thing is, it's all going to be utilized probably for marketing way before actual gaming.
Oh, probably, yeah. Let's be honest. That's the bulk of what this technology is developed for is marketing purposes.
Right.
So
it's going to be 100%. Think about it. You're going to have AR graffiti.
They already have that with some places, actually.
Right.
I think when they had Minecraft Earth out for a very short period of time, you'd look up and you'd see male genitalia in blocks in the sky.
Well, I'm saying in the real world.
I understand.
They're gonna do AR graffiti everywhere where it's just advertising logos and stuff.
Yeah, or like have like QR codes that send your HoloLens into a crazy spiral.
Right. It's like Walmart pays for the sidewalk outside Costco to just advertise for it or something.
You look down and everything's a QR code.
Right.
You can get this at Sam's Club cheaper than here.
Right.
Restaurants start selling tiles.
Your plate just has an advertisement on it.
Gosh.
Get done with your meal and it's already advertising dessert.
You want the chocolate death brownie cake.
Right.
All right. So just jumping into it.
The game that you have up there right now, I think that the jump scare games, I think, are the ones that, now that I think about it, are probably even better than the simulator games.
Well, I think any kind of walking simulator or just your standard action adventure game works decent.
Something where you're not supposed to get like
off the rails too far.
No, it's something that you're not supposed to get touched.
Oh yeah, that would work too.
Right, like because you think about it, you're not really immersed in the environment. So as long as your only interaction is your touch, not being touched, like that's where VR can do good things. So like, for example, you're going through a haunted house, you're opening doors, you feel that rumble, like that's that rumble in your controller you're using or whatever, you feel like you're actually there.
Yeah.
But the second something has to reach out and touch you, you're not going to feel any of that shit. So that's not really immersive at that point, right? It's just like, what's the point of VR Battlefield or Call of Duty? You're not going to know where you're getting freaking shot from unless you see the little indicators on the thing.
Well, what I find fascinating is what builds the immersion for VR more than even the visuals is the audio.
Right.
The second that the audio doesn't like have that 3D spatial feel, it breaks the reality completely.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like spatial audio is one of the biggest technologies. One of the things that people use for, various simulations. Like for example, if you're doing like a nature walk while you like nature sounds when you're sleeping, like that spatial 3D sound is what drives that feeling of like calm and immersion with that environment while you're trying to go to sleep to the forest. Whereas like previously, the NES started with mono audio, and then you get stereo audio with the SNES, and then with like your consoles going forward, you just get better and better audio quality. And I think audio more than video makes the immersion better.
Right. You can definitely say that it's something that adds a lot to it, just experience wise, and how you interact with the gameplay itself too, right? Like when you're if it's a shooter or you're in the forest and you hear anything in any game, right? You automatically know which way you're supposed to look without the game having to add the indicators.
Yeah, you hear a sound on this side of your body, like
Yeah, you feel that, like all of those things will make you feel more immersed in the game. More,
it's almost like even in 3D, you can get contextual clues. The higher quality your sound system is, there can be contextual clues where you could turn to the left or the right just based on a sound and where you hear it.
Right.
Now, do you think that 3D, like 3D televisions and 3DS and all those 3D style entertainment media, it could be movies, games, whatever. Do you think that the failing or fading out of that technology is what VR is going to do as well?
That's tough, actually, because let's be honest, the reason, I don't know what your perception is about the 3D TVs and stuff, but I always thought that the main reason they failed was, people don't want to put the glasses on for something that's such a low return on that inconvenience, because not only did you have to put the glasses on, but you also had to sit in like kind of a very specific location with
that's
some of those
true
TVs.
Yeah, kind of like how the 3DS, even with its passive 3D,
right, you had to have like a specific distancing and focus that you worked on, and it was always kind of a pain in the ass. So I just don't think VR is the same as that, right? If someone owns it, they've already committed to wearing the thing, and you can be as comfortable as you want. So I guess if, as long as they make it comfortable, I don't think it goes the same way, right? Because it's going to
Yeah,
work
because
the
the
same way
TV is
every
built
time.
for multiple viewers, whereas the VR
Right,
headset is built for one viewer.
right.
Which kind of brings me to my next kind of discussion here. Like where 2D and 3D kind of built up the living room as the couch co-op area of the house for gaming. Do you think that VR with its isolation is able to take over gaming at all fronts like 3D did? Ever?
I don't think so. Eh, Well, wait. What's our perspective here? Because given nothing changing in the marketplace, right?
Sure.
Nothing changing in the marketplace, the cost of everything is the same. It's not going to change a dang thing because people are going to probably opt for what already exists. Um, Things start getting more expensive with like houses and shit. I don't know if you've noticed the trend with the tiny house and people trying to be like I mean the dining room is no longer a thing that people ask for apparently. So it, could you see gaming now change from the den to just an extra like, oh, this is the chair I use? I mean, I guess you could see that. It could happen, right? But I feel like there has to be way more to that than what it is. Well, I guess if people continue down the path of antisocialness, then maybe. But
I
you'd
don't
have
think
to
the culture
completely.
is. Yeah, I don't think the culture is there for complete antisocial gameplay that VR brings in. I think people can do it for a time and but even for example, a lot of the people that push VR the most are streamers, and streamers are interacting with their audience the whole time.
Well, okay. Here's another thing too, right? Aren't sports games still some of the highest selling games out there? Like
Yeah,
the whole concept of sports games, the reason people buy them. Think of all the people on college campuses. The whole reason they buy those and play those is as like a group of friends, right? It's what they do while drinking on whatever night when they don't want to go out. So it I don't know. I just don't see something like the sports games or Smash Bros. Or what. Just make your pick of any game that a group of friends sits around and plays going VR.
yeah. No, that would be kind of weird.
Right? It gets rid of whole the whole desire of that genre.
Yeah, that genre pretty much dies for that kind of a thing. Um, so like for example, back in the '90s when we did get our 3D on our first real taste of 3D with like the PlayStation, the N64, and Super Nintendo. I will say that at first I was like, "Oh, this is it. Like, you will never see 2D games ever again. Like, why would anybody want 2D when you have 3D?" But obviously, that 2D genre has made a comeback over the years, and people really like their side scrollers. They like their pseudo 3D, their pseudo 2D HD, whatever you want to call it. So, like, even if VR were to succeed the current gaming, I would think you'd get a 3D renaissance, just like you got the 2D renaissance.
It's well, I don't know, man. At that point, right? It's an artistic thing because
Exactly.
people view a video game as art because it is art. It's storytelling. It has its whole stylized art and everything that's involved with it and how people want you to perceive it. So the 2D thing also, I feel like those games tend to be shorter a little bit.
They can
Um,
be,
they can be. It depends. Like the levels themselves are short, right?
generally.
Usually, generally speaking, I feel like the 2D renaissance is just as much um, a result of people liking the style versus the fact that it also conveniently fills the void that people have for a short time, like, the busy schedule, what can I play real quick kind of gaming experience that's not just Farmville apps on your phone, right? It's something that can help you like get a cool story in, and it also doesn't overwhelm you like Elder Scrolls or some 3D, like any other game that's going to be like much more time commitment. So it's like I think that's the difference a little bit. Where if VR was to really replace 3D, I don't know. I think the regular gaming would have to be that in-person experience with others.
Oh,
That
here's a
would bring
good
that.
point that Nerd Talk brought up. I missed this earlier. You could argue that the open worldness of a top-down Zelda game where you're going up and down stairs, there's a semi 3D situation happening there. So, like, technically speaking, you could argue there were some 3D elements in 2D style overworld games, but overall, you had a very few number of like what I would consider early 3D games on the Super Nintendo.
Right.
Like Star Fox was kind of an early 3D game, and there's some other examples too, but that's the one that usually comes to my mind. But for example, like, yeah, you don't see long 2D games, but back in the day, like A Link to the Past was a long game.
True.
Full blown Zelda.
But I'm saying like a lot. I guess right now when I'm thinking of 2D games that have made a resurgence a little bit,
Like Shovel Knight, those kinds of
I'm
things.
thinking of the side scrollers that have been really, really popular.
Because to be fair, that's a whole genre of gaming that if you only do 3D, that genre is gone.
Right. And that's where, like I said, it's made a resurgence because of the time commitment. People feel really busy. It's like, what can I play? What can I do in a shorter time frame? And not feel like I'm overloading myself. Like, because getting into some of those bigger games, a AAA title, right? You're going to feel like, oh, I don't really have time to accomplish anything if I only have like 10, 15 minutes to play something right before I go into lecture or something like that. And if you're a college kid,
I've been in that boat a couple times with Breath of the Wild where I'm like, try this game out again. Never mind. Right. Don't have time for that.
Exactly.
There's definitely more of a pick up and play attitude. Even if it's a long game, 2D games tend to have an easier save system built in than 3D games.
Well, it's also usually a fast boot.
So. Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think if VR became a thing, do you think, if it became like the mainstream, do you think the regular 3D games would still stick around outside of that in-person, like in the room type of playing? I don't know if it would. That doesn't really add much benefit at that point.
So 3D really only dominated the market for one generation, maybe two, arguably, before 2D made a comeback. So I think even if VR did dominate the whole market, you would see a resurgence of 3D and 2D games, especially co-op style, within 1 to 2 generations of gaming. I think people are more willing to accept that just because there's better technology doesn't mean the art from previous technologies are obsolete and unwanted anymore.
Okay, but here's the question to ask. At what point does a console, if VR was the main thing, right? We're already seeing it with all digital.
Yeah.
At what point do they abandon the TV and the whole experience is the headset?
You'd have to convince all the American public that they don't want TVs anymore, or rather, the worldwide public.
It's not about convincing them they don't want TVs. It's convincing them that they would prefer the experience of gaming on that console on a headset. That's the only thing, right? Like it's not the same thing as saying the TV's obsolete. It's saying it's obsolete for gaming.
I don't know. If I've got a TV and I can hook up a game console, I just don't see myself doing, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing. If every game is geared towards VR because it became the mainstream thing, everyone has a VR headset because it's just the best way to play the game for some reason. Let's just say VR got there and everyone just thought it was the best way to play. Wouldn't they just eliminate the concept of a TV port? Why? Why not?
I guess you could do like 2D games in a VR headset. I've seen people play just random games in their VR headsets because it does just have an input for HDMI. So you could be playing Super Mario Bros. 2D side scroller game in your VR headset and it would work.
Right.
You could ditch the TV, I suppose. I just don't know if you ditch all the other genres that VR eliminates.
Well, what genre are you thinking besides the in-room co-op style of play?
Well, imagine having to own like 6 VR headsets in your living room so you could play Smash Bros. Co-op. Like that's not going to happen. So VR is
Exactly. I mean, that's the
exceedingly
only
expensive.
thing, right? But how many games can you think of for Microsoft and Sony that do that?
That already have more than one player on one screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many.
It's only sports games. It's only sports games.
I think Call of Duty still allows.
Call of Duty still allows you to do split screen.
And I think Doom Eternal and Doom will let you do split screen. And Halo allegedly is going to have split screen.
Do the new Call of Duties allow you to do more than 2 screens? That's the thing that I can't remember.
I can't. Well, it did, especially on like zombies, and like you could do up to 2 online, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember if they allow 4 players or not on it.
I know it's at least 2. I know they did back in the day on the 360. You could get up to 4 on some of the zombies modes, I believe.
Right. I think there'll just be a calculated. Okay, fine.
No, I think the big question is, can the internet support with the infrastructure, long term, all these VR headsets getting online? And I think the answer right now is probably yes.
How is the VR headset going to be any different than the TV, though?
Well, you just have more devices, right? If you're playing couch co-op online Call of Duty, that's one device for 2 people.
But okay, I think that's the part that is questionable on if they have that co-op thing, because Microsoft, let's just say Microsoft, for example, they were 100% ready, despite everybody's objections, to do the always on requirement.
Yeah.
And
lost a lot of customers that way.
Yeah. They were 100% committed to that at launch. They knew how pissed everyone would be. But that was their calculated what's to stop that with VR headsets? They're like, well, there's only a couple games, and our studies show that only 10% at most of people even use the feature of split screen with their console.
You're probably about accurate with that number.
Yeah. So it's like, why, if all these kids will just play from their own bedrooms because mom and dad don't stress about them staying up as late, why not just be like, well, we're going to ditch this feature. You're all going to play it using VR headsets now, and you're going to love us for it eventually. I'm just going to say that's the calculated bet that they would take, and I don't think it's far-fetched.
Here you go. This is it, Andrew.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that. Yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen all over. So
you know what, though? That chick got a nice
settlement, I hope.
Settlement, yeah.
I think really
Nintendo won't do it. That's the thing.
Well, no, they already did, technically.
No, Nintendo, I'm saying remove the screen, regular screens. Nintendo.
You don't know what I'm talking about. You haven't seen this yet, then, have you?
Seen what?
Nintendo Switch. They've already got a VR headset for the Switch.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, though. Also, yes, I have actually seen that.
Okay.
I'm saying they're not going to eliminate having screens.
No, you're probably right about that. They're into the portables. I actually think that portables are probably, mobile
Okay, but
gaming
I
was
hate
supposed to be
that
big.
concept. I hate the concept where people take phones and turn it into a headset. I just hate that.
Well, this isn't a phone. This is the
I know it's a
Switch, but
Switch, but I
still,
still hate that.
I just love that there's this kid holding the headset up with his controllers up here. I'm like, that would be so uncomfortable.
Okay, when has Nintendo ever given two craps about comfortable though?
That's a fair point. I always buy attachments to hold my phones and stuff with, or my Nintendo products with. I think that some kind of hybrid like this is more likely to be what Nintendo would do to play with the VR crowd.
I think Nintendo is going. I could see them going more the AR route, actually.
But that's basically what Labo was, more of an AR thing.
It's more AR than VR.
And Microsoft's already got the HoloLens. Sony's really the only big three company going after VR. And then if you really want to count a fourth player in the gaming space, it would probably be Valve. And they go after the VR as well. But they're a PC first. So you're already talking like anti-social culture when you're talking PC gaming. Well, by anti-social, I don't mean you're not playing with other people. I mean you're sitting by yourself at your house playing games. You're not usually there's the LAN party days are over.
Surprised. I think there's actually a lot of people who do hook it up to some pretty big ass monitors. And because
multiplayer though,
I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who will do it.
It's probably less than the amount of people that do split screen on Microsoft.
I guarantee it. It's less than. I'm just saying that if there's a way, that someone's doing it. So,
although I will say, I always thought it was a waste of resources to not have split screen on PC because, 9 times out of 10, if you're a PC gamer, you've got multiple monitors. So like you're wasting an entire monitor by not being able to do multiplayer.
Right. Actually, yeah. When you think about it, it's like someone could just set up their own LAN party with their one PC.
The wave of LAN parties are almost completely done. Like you don't see that almost at all anymore. So I was just reading through the manual of my Mario Kart Double Dash, and get this, it had the how to hook up 8 GameCubes to play 16-player Mario Kart Double Dash in the manual. Like it had all the references, all the connections.
That's actually insane, though.
Can you imagine hooking up 8 GameCubes to play 16-player Mario Kart Double Dash?
I'm trying to think. Double Dash actually had 16 carts on the track.
Let me double check. I have the manual.
I did not think that it had 16.
I'm gonna go find it. 1 second.
On the track. That's actually a lot. Now I have to Google it. I thought there was only 12 positions or some shit like that.
All right, let me pull this thing out and see what it says. Okay, it was all the way at the back, which was kind of odd. All right, here we go. Yeah, it was 8. No, it was 8 players. It was 8 GameCubes and 8 players.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So it says you can use a broadband adapter. So you know how much the broadband adapters are now? They're like $200 for a broadband adapter. Anyways, it says you use the over-the-counter hub with the broadband adapters, and then you can set it up using a network switch. It's like you're expecting kids to hook this thing up? Like what the?
No, that's not their. They were expecting people to go to
tournaments.
Yeah.
But that just cracks me up. Like these manuals tell you how to do it. It's like
they probably viewed it as there's going to be people doing things like how people do Magic the Gathering tournaments, and they'll want to know how they can hook up their GameCubes.
Probably. It cracked me up, reading these old manuals. Like they expect people to do this kind of stuff. It's like, wow, you guys really had some high hopes for this.
Everything back then though was geared towards, split screen and allowing people to play together. And
it does actually have on the case that it is compatible with the broadband adapter. Like, see that?
How many players does it actually say on the case?
It just says 4. They're
Okay.
smart enough not to say 8. Although the Wii U finally brought that legitimately to Super Smash Bros. Wii U. It was the first one where they did 8-player Smash.
Right.
And then I think the Switch carried that on. I think the Switch can do 8 players as well.
Well, the Switch allows you to have more than one, multiple people on one Switch. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the Switch actually does 8 players on one console. You have to do 4 Switch controllers, and you can do 4 GameCube wired controllers. I think that's how you get to 8.
Okay.
Because it doesn't like having too many Bluetooth devices hooked up to it at once. But I do think that given the current state of the world, a lot of people are looking forward to co-op, couch co-op, in-room collaboration type games. Like board gaming
so?
really made it. I think board gaming is going to make a huge comeback too.
Imagine
augmented reality with board games.
Well, yeah, that's where it really needs to get into because I'm kind of partial to the concepts that like computer games bring to board game concepts. So it's
like the what is it, tabletop simulator?
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool thing actually, that tabletop simulator exists.
The big thing is though, I don't know. I feel like for board games to truly make a good comeback, kids need to get rid of cell phones.
I think that cell phones did a disservice to gaming overall. Like at first I thought it was going to be really cool. Like for example, I can play a whole bunch of different games. I can play the Game Boy Advance,
Right.
DS, N64, Super Nintendo, regular Nintendo, all on my iPhone.
I think actual gaming companies have neglected the mobile experience when it comes to like arcade games that they could easily port over.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
Yeah,
it's
you were just saying with the Nintendo games.
Well, just look at Diablo Immortal.
Right.
The game actually still hasn't come out because of how much backlash they had. That was that they were like, there's going to be a Diablo announcement at the BlizzCon. And they were like, yeah, it's got a mobile game. And everybody's like, what? This is your Diablo announcement?
I just really dislike some of the games they're actually trying to do with mobile nowadays, like Call of Duty mobile. And
oh yeah,
Fortnite I heard they're doing a Battlefield mobile.
What?
Yes, it's awful concept, isn't it? It sounds awful.
It sounds like the worst idea.
Sounds like
Diablo!
a dumpster fire.
I was like, what is?
All I can tell you is that a Battlefield mobile version is going to be a dumpster fire that gets a studio shut down by EA.
Probably the best. You think DICE is going down?
No, I doubt they.
Oh, it'll probably be on mobile.
I doubt they have DICE actually make that. They're going to pick a studio that they want an excuse to shut down, give it to them, have it fail like they know it will fail, and then we're shutting down Studio XYZ. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's how EA rolls, man. That's how EA rolls.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That is definitely how they roll. Actually, that's probably one of my biggest complaints is like, you remember like the early 2010 time frame, the 360 was still technically the king, even though it sold less than the PS3 and the Wii. And they were like, oh, mobile gaming is going to take over. Right. And everybody's like, oh, this could be the last time we have actual consoles.
Mobile gaming has taken over, but the reason it's taken over is completely different than what people say.
Yeah.
It is the biggest money maker, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it makes the most money in gaming, and a big portion of that is because it's the gaming that most women do.
Well, it's the easiest, quickest thing you can pull out and do, right?
It's extremely popular with women.
And that's actually, so if something as simple as mobile gaming didn't actually take over like gamers, like gaming proper industry, then I significantly doubt that we would see VR do that. But, hey, I gotta run upstairs real quick. Give me a second.
All right. But yeah, I don't know about you guys listening, but anytime I've ever seen a game related to a AAA title try to get rolled out on mobile, I just think it's going to be a dumpster fire. Mainly because it is a dumpster fire as far as a control standpoint goes. I don't know if you guys actually enjoy using touchscreen controls on those games, but then again, maybe you guys buy the attachable controllers, but I feel like that kind of diminishes the mobile gaming aspect, because why would you want to carry around a controller for your phone? So you're still muted, Chris.
I could not tell if my daughter had waken up or not, but she did not. Okay.
I was just saying while you were gone that anytime I see a AAA title come to mobile, I assume it's a dumpster fire. And then at the same time, it's not going to work well with touchscreen controls. And then and at that point, you're going to have to buy a controller attachment for your phone. And why would you want an actual attachment?
Well, I have one. It's good. This actually has like a connecting thing that goes on the top there.
Oh, okay. But at that point, doesn't that ruin the mobile concept of your cell phone?
I think mobile gaming, the reason it didn't take over is because convenience is king when it comes to mobile. And anytime you have to bring something extra, like for example, probably the best convenient thing that's ever come out for mobile was that backbone controller. It's so simple and easy.
100%.
That's probably one of the best things I've seen.
But who wants to carry that around?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is actually, what the heck? Oh,
it's a concept. No, but it is. It's a great controller.
That was the best concept specifically for gaming on the go, because it's something you'd throw in a backpack. This full-blown controller, probably not going in somebody's backpack just to carry around with them.
But even that, though, that's still, something extra to carry around with you everywhere.
I'm just saying, like, when it comes to convenience is king, the backbone controller is the only one I've seen that like really does it well and easy.
Yeah.
It connects to the lightning port. It has a charging port you can plug in the bottom. So if you're ready to sit down and game in the office or wherever you're at while you're waiting for something else, that's an easy thing to throw in your pocket and take with you, versus most everything else I've seen gaming. I mean, there's been other revisions like similar to the backbone, but that is probably the best version of that style controller I've seen.
See, the thing that I'm going to say that there's a slight difference here in how you're perceiving it, though. VR versus mobile gaming. I think the problem with mobile gaming is that it's not truly something geared towards a dedicated gamer. It's geared towards somebody who isn't going out of their way to buy something for gaming, but if something catches their eye as fun and silly, they'll do it because they already have the device for something else.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And the video games companies, I don't think really realize that. That's why a company like Zynga does so well with their Farmville and stuff, because it's a completely different market.
I think Zynga just got bought by somebody.
It was in the works. I don't remember who bought them. It's not. Take Two.
So you're gonna get GTA farming.
It's still not official though.
I think it's pretty much official.
Yeah, it probably is.
But they're gonna have Grand Theft Auto farming coming up soon.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, the mobile gaming thing, it's a completely different market, completely different gamer, right? It's
It
someone,
is.
it's inherently casual to the point that the person does not want to buy a gaming console. That's the reason. And
I definitely think there's value proposition to simple, easy gaming on a device you already own.
yes. And the VR headset, though, is different because it's actually targeting the people who buy dedicated consoles.
So maybe a better question wouldn't be, is VR really the future? Maybe a better question would be, can VR dominate gaming space?
Right, because we were comparing it to the 3D TVs, and those were never truly marketed towards console gamers either.
The PS3 kind of tried.
The PS3, the PlayStation tried it with the PS TV.
Which always confuses me because that PlayStation TV, when you type that in, you
I
get
heard that was actually good,
you
but
get this though, right?
oh
So
yeah,
PlayStation, so you really, I think, type in PlayStation 3D TV.
right. And I think the only problem with that they only sold it is like what, a 24-inch.
It was small. It was
It
pretty
was really
small.
small,
Well, they wanted to
and
make it affordable for gamers to put in like their bedroom.
it was geared towards dorms.
Yeah, gamers in dorms, gamers in small spaces. The real thing about this 3D TV though is it didn't. I think it was passive 3D. I don't think it actually required any glasses.
I think it was. I think you're right.
And that was the same technology they used in the 3DS, which is essentially you double the horizontal plane, and then because you've doubled the pixels in the horizontal plane, you can then physically put things in the background by doubling up in the foreground.
Now, I think the problem with that was that it wasn't really utilized truly. I don't think it was
Probably
properly
right.
utilized. And it, well, what's a good example? It's just another one of those Sony peripherals that didn't get proper support. If it
Yeah.
had proper support, it might have been successful. I don't know, but it was a super small TV, and the average person had a TV much bigger than it.
Right. So if you're going to game on a big TV, not this one.
Right. And it was a device that didn't really understand its market, I think.
There's people that use it as like a computer monitor though too.
Right. So
Oh no, it needed glasses.
no, it did need glasses, yeah.
Okay, I see that now.
So yeah, no one wanted that.
The
I'm sure they
glasses
were
definitely killed it for me. Like
I'm sure it was uncomfortable as hell with headsets on all the time.
Well, what about the market of people that need glasses too?
Well, and the people who needed glasses. So I wasn't wearing contacts back then.
No, I was. Well, I might have been, but I'm not. Certainly not now.
Right.
But
so it's
I never noticed that comparison. It looks like a flattened PSP Go.
Oh, it does. But yeah, it's completely different. I feel like it's
You're saying they're
completely
not comparable. Mobile gaming and
No.
3D and all this stuff's not comparable to what
VR.
VR
It's a
represents.
completely different beast because it's okay, comparable Blu-ray player within the console. I feel like you have to almost compare it to Blu-ray.
VR?
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
In the sense that it's something that they're trying to integrate completely into the console, and it's a visuals thing. It's not it's currently a peripheral, but it's a peripheral for visuals. It's not that is actually getting as much support as they can give it.
Yeah, I mean, when the PS3 launched, it was the cheapest Blu-ray player on the market at $600, which is it's insane.
Right. If they bring the price down on VR, who isn't buying it though? That's the real question. I think it is much compared to 3D, which was a gimmick, right? And
there you go.
I would say though that I really do believe that it's closer to Blu-ray than it is to 3D TVs.
I do think that mainstream VR is more likely to go the route that Samsung was taking it, where you dock a phone in the headset. I think that's way more likely
I
to
don't know.
be.
Okay, well, all right. If we look at it, what do you think is the most? What do you think is the best use case for VR headsets though?
Probably just like immersion in like other areas. Like let's say you want to go to
Yeah, but
Egypt, but
that's
you
the
can't afford going to Egypt.
okay. That's like the travel tourism thing, the digital travel tourism thing.
I think that's definitely the best use case for
But
VR.
for gaming, anything that you're like in an environment, I see a use case for it.
I want to see if this monstrosity has been created yet. So hold on.
Steam Deck VR.
I want to see if somebody's tried it yet to put the VR headset on their head or put the Steam Deck on. Nope, nobody's done it yet. I've seen weird Switch contraptions, but I'm just curious. Okay. I guess we should probably get down to the conclusion then. Do you see VR as the next step? Or is it another gimmick?
I don't know if I'm actually a good judge of the trend on this one. That's the thing. People seem enamored by VR for some reason or another. People just do. With the Oculus and all of that, people seem enamored. And because of that, I think it's more like Blu-ray. I really do. Not necessarily that I like that for VR, because I don't see it as actually more than a gimmick unless you have a peripheral that immerses you into the gameplay that you're actually playing. Like okay, example, the motorcycle arcade games. Those would be pretty cool with VR.
See, I think where VR is headed is for the mainstream. You'll see the resurgence of arcades, and there'll be the VR arcades.
That's what I was about to say. I think the VR arcades are going to come back
because I think VR is so out of reach for most people. Like even just setting up VR in general is not exactly the easiest thing. I was talking to a YouTuber who does this kind of stuff full time a while back, Forge Labs. He had him on for an interview, and he was kind of explaining that getting Minecraft to run in VR took like every ounce of his intelligence with computing to figure it out.
See,
so,
like it's also that thing too where it's like, what is the return? You know, what's the reward for doing it with just a regular game outside of that arcade thing? What's the real reward? You know, does one exist?
I mean, the immersion aspect of it.
True, but does it kind of reach uncanny valley levels though?
Yeah, probably.
I think that's the question you have to ask: is if you're immersed, but you're not truly immersed, is there an uncanny valley concept of that immersion where you can't do that middle ground? You either have to have the VR headset with like the taptic feedback and the simulator devices, right? Or you need to just ignore it and not risk it for something like Skyrim, right? It's no different than motion controllers, I think, when it comes to that same level of like uncanny valley, because try playing motion controllers with like a first person shooter. It's really weird.
Kind of like the Wii U gamepad was when they brought that out, and it was like this second screen that everybody's I don't know if I'm going to use this.
Right. Yeah.
But I would argue also that arcades in general have a place in modern day, because the arcade, since you lose your ability to do multiplayer at home, a lot of people go to the arcades to do like, bar food, bar drinks, and gaming together with their friends.
Right.
I would make that argument. I would definitely say that. And the VR arcade would be fun, because then you could be doing VR on a big screen where everybody's watching you and kind of like, old school arcade style, cheering each other on while they do the arcade thing.
Right. It's you definitely have to take that into consideration for sure. I agree.
But I do think that the VR arcade would bring it into the mainstream for most people. It's something you could go out with your friends, have some drinks, do the VR thing, maybe, you know, puke on your way out because you're so messed up in regards of your ability to walk.
That's the other thing. How motion sick do people get from that these days?
I know a lot of people have gotten motion sick playing even just the PSVR.
Right. That's the thing I was wondering. I haven't gotten to play it, so it was one of those question marks.
Did you ever play the Virtual Boy back in the day?
No.
I've played one once.
Closest thing I can say I've ever done is, it wasn't VR though. Have you ever done the flight simulators at the Smithsonian?
Yeah, once or twice.
The fighter jet one is that.
It wasn't that one. It was a different place.
Oh.
But I know.
So I did the fighter. I did the fighter jet one at the Smithsonian, and that thing's cool. Put that with the VR headset, man. Now that would be immersion level 100, and that would probably be hella dope. But I think one of the better games that I heard about for PSVR was did you ever hear about Valkyrie?
No.
It's a space one.
Oh,
from
yeah.
EVE Online. It's like a Dust 514 and EVE Online.
I know EVE Online.
Okay, Dust 514 was them trying to do Ground Wars, and they brought it out for PS3 right by the time that PS4 was coming out, so it was already kind of dead.
Dead product on
yeah, and then they made this thing for the VR with PS4, and it's kind of cool, the concept. But CCP Games has tried to flirt with trying to make human interaction into certain aspects of the game, like wars on planets or drones, fighter drones and stuff. So this was the fighter drones, and trying to put it where pilots are in it. So
I think the future of VR, and I don't think VR will ever be mainstream, at least not in my lifetime. I think the future of VR is MMOs, like your World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, where you can like be fully immersed in this massive multiplayer open world game.
See, but I don't think it exists. That's the problem, right? That's where I feel like Uncanny Valley is. And
I'm not saying in their current state. I think those style of games is where VR is going to be long term. Because those people already basically play in isolation to begin with. They're always on top of computer upgrades and parts because they need to keeping up with the technology for that kind of thing. Maybe like a Fortnite would do it too. I don't know.
That's right. That's where I feel like your idea of the VR arcades making a comeback is more of a thing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like something like this game, right? You put it with some sort of simulator device that lets you feel like you're actually in that cockpit. Like, what's going to be a better gaming experience than that? You bring in the race car driving simulators, you bring in everything, right?
Oh yeah.
And then at the same time, you get it where you have those treadmills with the haptic feedback vests and everything for people who are playing more of the MMO and World of Warcraft concept games. I feel like it's never. I don't see it as the in your basement thing unless you really want to sink money into it, right? And you can go with your friends to it and do all the other stuff.
Be like you're like Elon Musk walking in your basement. There's a full blown simulated Tesla in the basement. Just get in the car and drive.
Here's the question then. Here's the question. Since you brought up Elon Musk, do you think something like Neuralink just skips VR with just manipulating your imagination? Because I could see that.
Do I think that it would work? Okay, functionally, do I think that it would work the way you're asking? Probably.
Probably not. It'd probably cause plenty of problems, but
I think that it could easily help you daydream into a game. But I'm just not comfortable with the idea of putting anything into my body.
Oh, I'm never going to do it.
Me either.
That's already fully
I'm
discussed in this conversation.
I'm not comfortable with that. So like,
but people would be.
Some people will. I won't. I think there's a lot less people that are comfortable, at least in our current generation, with Neuralink in all of its glory.
In our generation, yes. I feel like the next generation, no. I don't think.
It's theirs to decide. I just don't have any idea.
I just don't think that it's going to be as weird. You got to realize we didn't grow up with cell phones, technically.
That's true. Technically.
They've grown up with some sort of technology connected to them at all times.
That is a fact, yeah. But it's not integrated into your body yet. Like wearables. This is the first real generation of wearables, right?
And that's just a small step.
Yeah. I still think that some kind of augmented reality, and Neuralink would probably work with augmented reality, is more likely than VR to take over. Just because the implementation makes more sense. You can get marketing behind it.
Augmented reality is not going to be a thing until you can get contacts. Support it. That's the thing. Because no one wants to have to wear glasses all the time.
I mean, what if you're already wearing glasses, though? Who cares?
I don't even want to wear glasses all the time. Why do you think I wear contacts 90% of the time?
I wear glasses 90% of the time. Okay. Actually, like almost 100%.
Okay, let's put it this way. You're doing any form of actual activity that's strenuous. Do you want to be wearing glasses?
Fair enough.
Like
we're kind of going off into an alternative conversation at this point, though.
That's true.
So I just want to let you give your conclusion real quick.
My conclusion is it's not there currently, but it probably could. I think it's 50-50. Flip a coin. That's really where I'm at.
What, heads AR, tails VR kind of thing?
No. On the possibility of it just straight up succeeding. Yeah. I feel like it will. I think we've come to the conclusion it will succeed in some format. I think as far as every gamer primarily using VR on a daily basis with their current setup that's the question mark, right?
Yeah, I think that's the same for me. I'm probably on the borderline whether or not that could ever be a thing.
Right. I feel like it's too big of a investment barrier for the average person.
Today, yes.
But like for the full immersion feeling, right? I feel like people will always feel cheated if they don't have full immersion.
If you get a VR set and you don't have full immersion, sure.
Right. Because it's so because of that, that's where I'm saying that people will feel cheated and they won't even want to continue it. It's like the 3D TVs. They're completely dead. 3D TVs are completely dead.
That's a fact. So
right. So and that's because people didn't feel like they truly got a 3D experience.
Right.
So I don't see the price point going down on all of the devices you would need to feel fully immersed.
That's fair. So I think we're on the same page then. The VR arcade's probably going to be a thing at some point. You'll still have a small percentage of people that will actually buy into VR as a whole at their houses. You'll have the billionaires have their simulated setups in their basement, and and that'll pretty much be it, right? I mean, unless VR comes down in price to the point where everybody can afford it.
I would agree.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you again, Andrew.
Same.
Always, obviously, open for that anytime, even not on the podcast. But we'll get Will back on next week and we'll discuss whether or not Xbox is worth it yet.
Answer is probably no.
But hopefully Andrew can get on there to disparage Will as much as possible. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah.
As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Andrew. And you've just watched the CHRILLCAST.
Bye, guys.